Well, hello, and thank you for joining me this evening. Come on in and take a seat because class is now officially in session. Have you ever wondered what makes a school run efficiently and effectively? Have you ever thought about what is high quality instruction? Have you ever wondered how do you meet the needs of a diverse range of students inside of a classroom? How was it that teachers received funding to buy supplies to engage students in real world and relevant curriculum? What does a principal really do? Have you ever asked yourself, is discipline really fair across the board for students despite their race or their sex? How is that funding applied to a school district? And why does it vary from school to school and from district to district? What rules and regulations really guide the work that leaders and teachers do each and every day? Are students and teachers really treated equitably? Do they see themselves as a diverse unit? Is inclusion really a thing that happens in school? Will you have to wonder? No more. This is the place where those questions, those thoughts are answered, because here we provide access to information to teachers, leaders, parents, and all stakeholders who find value in education. My name is Dr. Christopher Holmes, and this is Teacher Talks. Well, hello everyone. Welcome to Teacher Talks. I am your host, Dr. Christopher Holmes. I'm excited for you guys to join me this evening. This is not going to be a long one. I know that many of you, if you're here in the South, you're getting ready to continue the start of school. Many of us have already started, and our kids are in, teachers have started, leaders are in buildings, and the remainder of you are getting ready. Some of you have about a month, some have less than a month, but either way, school is fast approaching or it has literally arrived. I'm so glad that you guys decided to join me today. So it is 9:30. I started a little bit later today just because I had things to do. And if you can tell, I've been having some sinus issues going on. So I sound a little bit raspy because I'm still draining. So forgive me if my voice does not sound the way it normally does. But either way, it is after 9. I hope that you have your handy cup or mug or wine glass or tumbler in your hand. I'm drinking out of my nice Sagittarius mug this evening. And of course, it is some hot tea. Why? Because I need it. So, welcome. Go ahead, bottoms up, tap your cup, enjoy yourself. There's no judgment here. Whatever's in your cup belongs to you, and that is your business. So, tonight we are talking about a serious aspect of driving student achievement. And so, many of you start several different places when you think about achievement. You look at curriculum, you look at assessments, you look at strategies, you look at programs, you look at resources. You may even bring in people like myself, who's a consultant, to come in and support the goals and the visions that you have for your students and for your teachers. But rarely do we start school-wide or district-wide with this very simple concept of moving towards achievement, and that is relationships. How often do we truly focus on building quality relationships with students? It is truly important to start the school year off with building. They're not going to be established yet, right? You have to build the relationship. It is a seed that you have to sow and you have to nurture, and then over time, watch it grow and get stronger and then become fruitful, where that relationship becomes reciprocal because you're giving it something and it's giving something back to you. How do you get students to do something that they are reluctant to do? Is build a relationship with them and watch them do whatever you ask them to do because you asked them to do it. And that's simple as that. There is no magic to building relationships. It takes intent, it takes time, it takes patience, then it takes nurturing and consistency. Those five things are the keys to building quality relationships with students. Now, when I say relationships, what exactly am I speaking of? I am not talking about a situation where this adult or this child is a friend to the teacher, is a friend to the principal. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a relationship that is based on the motive and the expectation that learning will take place on a daily basis. And in order for that to happen, teachers have a responsibility to teach, and students have a responsibility to sit, soak up the information, and in turn, learn and demonstrate that understanding in some tangible way. That is what I'm talking about. I am not talking about a situation in which the student comes in and they absolutely love their teacher. This is not a conversation where we're talking about love. You don't have to love your teacher, but you have to have a relationship with the teacher. You don't have to love all of your students in a way that you love some of them, but you do need to have relationships with them. It is key. The relationship drives the intent to do what's in their best interest. If you lack a relationship, if you lack a real relationship on some level, I promise you, you will have some disconnects in the teaching and learning process. That's a fact. Relationships. So I'm going to start by just sharing with you, for those of you that know me, I have two small children. My oldest just left pre-K and she has moved into kindergarten. So let me just say this. She left pre-K in a facility she had been in for 5 years, basically, almost 5 years. And this particular place was a place of comfort, not just for my child, but also for myself and my wife. It was a place that we knew in our heart genuinely cared for our child. When I was not around, I was confident to know the love, the nurturing, even the discipline that she was getting would be comparable to what she was going to get, if not better, honestly, if not better than what she was going to get at home. So it was very difficult to extract her from that setting to go into a brand new setting that we were all very unfamiliar with. And let me tell you why. Her last day there, it was really not in the forefront of my mind that that day was actually her last day because she had some other stuff going on. So I was actually taking her out early to go do some other stuff. And when I walked through the doors to the playground area, her teacher was like, "No, no, no, you can't take her. You can't take her." And I'm just thinking, well, she's got to go to swim lessons. So, I'm just leaving early because of that. It never dawned on me that when I was taking her that day, that was literally her last day as a student there. It never hit me. And then she came up and we were talking. And as my daughter was getting ready to come out of the fence towards me, this young woman began to weep. And there is a type of crying that people can do that lets you know the level of hurt or pain or distress they may be in. And so you may think, okay, she was weeping. She was no, there were maybe a tear rolling out of each eye. No, this was not tear rolling type of weeping. This was the weeping where the shoulders went up and down, and she was very emotional and sad because she kept saying, "You can't take her from me. You can't take her. I'm going to miss her." And that's when it clicked that she was no longer coming back in a full time capacity in that space. And so, why would she weep or cry or experience that type of separation like that with my daughter? And that answer is because they had a very strong relationship. She cared for her. Her intent towards her was good. She wanted to see her perform at her highest level, at her best. And in turn, what the teacher did was give her best. They respected each other on that level because the non-verbalized commitment was that I'm going to give my best to you and you're going to give your best to me. You can't ask for much more than that in a student teacher type relationship. So she leaves this place and we go and get her set up in kindergarten in a brand new, as we say, big kid school, right? This is where the big kids go. And before we even got her in the building to meet people, they had already begun sending us information, wanting to get to know who my daughter was, wanting to start building that relationship, getting information about her interests and who she was and where she was coming from and things that she likes to do, building relationships, intent. It's all about the intent. Being prepared, doing the work beforehand. So when they walk through the door, students don't, they may not know you, but you already know something about them, even if you have to go digging through their files a little bit just to get a little peek of who they are. And so when my daughter went, they knew her name, they had her name, they had stuff for her. She was getting to meet teachers. They shared things about themselves with us. Not that I'm just a teacher, but I'm a teacher of kindergarten. I've been teaching this long. I've been married to this person. I have this many children. Their names are. In my spare time, I enjoy X, Y, and Z. I've gone to this college. I love spending time with my grandchildren. I love hiking. I love walking. I love reading. I love going to the beach. In return, giving us a piece of them as we were already giving them a piece of our daughter and a piece of ourselves, building relationships. So when you walk in the building and you meet someone for the first time, they don't feel like a stranger. Your students should not feel like a stranger when they walk in your room. There should be some sense of comfort that I know you and that you know them. I know what school you went to. I know who your teacher was last year. I know that you played football, that you played soccer, that you enjoy playing chess, that you are a cheerleader, that you love to read. You won the spelling bee last year. You were in the one act play. I know something about you because I'm going ahead early with intent and I'm building my relationship with you. That is the start of one key to success to work towards increasing student achievement. Now, when I started teaching, I love telling a good story, right? I had students that I did not know. I did not know if I was going to be able to build relationships with these students because they had had so much academic failure, a lot of failure. So I had to work hard, right? But I didn't let what I heard about them become a barrier. It was important for me to get to know my students for myself, build my own relationships, not on hearsay, not on perception, okay? What they did for me, to me, and how we treated each other. If the relationship with another person was bad, that's not my business. I wasn't involved with that. And honestly, I don't want to hear it because I believe this student can be better for me than they were for you. I've just got to work on a different type of relationship, right? I never had management issues in my classroom. I didn't have a lot of disruptions. I didn't have a lot of fights. I didn't have things like that because I really believe when you have issues of management in your classroom, you have issues of relationships in your classroom as well. Let me say that again. When you have issues of management, particularly behavior management in your room, in your building, I can promise you, you likely also have issues with relationships in those same spaces. Because when you are in reciprocal relation with people, There is a certain type of language and behavior that will always be exhibited, no matter what. No matter what. So because I had a good relationship with kids that had been in trouble multiple times, I didn't have fights. I didn't have profanity. I didn't have misconduct. I had kids that were doing what I asked them to do. Why? Because I had a relationship with them. So we're going to go through and we're going to talk about types of relationships. And there are varying aspects of relationships as well as types. So the first type of relationship that I want to deal with, and if you're in here, I see you guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Get in the chat. Tell me who's here so I can give you a shout out. Thank you guys for being here. So first, I want to start with the relationship with the adults in the building. Okay, leaders, you need to have relationships with your teachers, with your staff, because they need to know that your intent towards them is good, that you want what's best for them, that you have their back, that you're going to look out for them. If you have that relationship, not a relationship that I like you. Okay, I want to remove the stigma. I am not saying you have to love or like people to be in a relationship with them. Build a relationship based on what is going to be most effective. Because when you fall out of love with people, when you fall out of like with people, what happens? Resentment, hurt, pain. They can't be productive. Why? Because they're so caught up in the emotion of loving and liking a person. So I'm not saying that is the most important, but it's a relationship that says, I know what you bring to the table. You have worth in this space as a teacher, as a leader, and we are in a connective relationship to do the work for students in this building. I can't do it without you. You can't do it without me. Okay? Excuse me. That's the first type of relationship, adult to adult in the building. Teachers, uh, janitorial, cafeteria, parapros, volunteers, clerical. Be in relationship, adult to adult, that you are committed to do the work to serve students in the best way possible, that you're going to give your best and they're going to give their best. That's number one. Number two, this is one that we don't think about often, but it is critically important. Not only should you be in a relationship with the adults in the building, you should also be in a relationship with the adults out of the building. Who am I talking about? I'm talking about parents. If you haven't reached out to parents before day one, I'm not saying it's too late, but I'm saying it's too late. I'm just kidding. It's not too late. It's not too late. But it helps if you reach out and talk to parents beforehand, right? Talk to them about their child. Talk to them about what they expect from the school. What do they expect from teachers? Talk to them about who is your child. Tell me about their experience. Tell me about their past grade. Tell me about their past teacher. Tell me about their past school. Tell me about your fears, your concerns, your excitement about them coming to school this year, about being in my classroom. And then I can share the same things with you. And then as a parent to a teacher, we can be in a relationship with each other. Now discussing how we can do what's best for the child. I'm going to give my best in the capacity that I serve. Mom and dad are going to do their best in the capacity that they serve. Grandma's going to do her best. Grandpa, uncle, aunts going to do their best. Guardian, godparents going to do their best in whatever capacity they serve, it with whatever information they bring to the table about schools, including their own experiences. We're going to try to change that to make it more positive, to make it productive, so that you're going to have a better schooling experience as your child goes to school than potentially what you had when you were a student. Okay, so first relationship, adult to adult in the building. Next relationship, adult to adult externally. We're talking about parents, guardians, grandparents, whoever is the custodial authority of that child or student. Get in relationship, make connections with them. It is important. Number three, last but critically important, be in relationship with your students. Okay. Now, I want to talk about 5 different aspects of relationship. Remember, I said this, if you have issues with management in your classroom as it relates to behavior, you likely have issues with relationships. Okay? Now, number 1, you want to build a relationship, remember, not of loving, not of liking, not of being my friend. You want a relationship based on expectations. Okay? Now, I got people in the chat. I got to shout them out because I love my people when they hop in the chat. So first, I want to give a shout out to Dr. Coons. Dr. Coons is in here. Dr. Coons says this. Positive relationships lead to healthy learning environments. Toxic or negative or invisible relationships, non-existent relationships, yield unhealthy learning environments. These are places she's saying that students cannot learn at high levels. All right, let me say that. Learning can take place, but this will be the lower level tier of learning because the environment is not conducive for the best, the most productive, the most rigorous learning to take place because there are distractions. One, because there are physical distractions that I see, or there are distractions emotionally and mentally that are causing me not to connect to the teaching or the person that is doing the teaching or the students in the room that I don't like, that I don't respect. Okay. So, number 1, build relationships of high expectations. Now, I am a beast for this. When my students come in, I definitely build relationships, but I want them to be very clear about what I expect from them as a student. So that includes coming to class on time, being prepared, speaking with a tone that is respectful, not just to myself, but to peers, coming with a high expectation to learn something new each and every day, not being a distraction to yourself or your peers, honoring who you are, respecting yourself when you walk through the door. That is my expectation. But I also give them an opportunity to write down their expectations of me. Why? Because it is my responsibility to serve my students. If you're going to serve someone, don't you think it's important to know how they like to be served? If I'm going to serve you a steak, I'm just not going to cook a steak the way I want to cook it and just bring it out and put it on the table. If I'm going to serve you a meal, if I'm going to serve you instruction, if I'm going to serve and model for you respect, don't you think it's important to know how people want to be serviced? So I give my students an opportunity to let me know, how can I serve you today? And surprisingly, for some and not for others, they are willing to tell you, this is what I need from my teacher. They may say, I don't like people to yell at me. I don't like to be called out in front of others. I like to be acknowledged and celebrated when I do good things. I like to be reprimanded or redirected privately, right? I like to have my name on boards when I make A's and B's. I like to know when I'm not doing well. I want immediate feedback. All of that are expectations that they need to share with you. And this is not for the oldest of these. This is also for the youngest of these as well. Children can tell you what they want. Trust me, I have one. I have 2. They're very vocal in communicating what they want. Good evening, Dr. Reynolds. Glad to have you on here. Thank you for watching. Thank you for that shout out. Now, so number 1, a relationship built on expectation. Number 2, a relationship built, and I said this earlier, on respect. Simple humanitarian respect. I'm not going to degrade you. I'm not going to belittle you in front of others. because that's not showing anyone respect. In the same token, you're not going to do that to me. You're not going to do that to me. Not today, tomorrow, next week. We're not going to have it in here. And then I go through and I talk to them. I give them examples of what respect looks like, because sometimes they don't know. And they may not know my version of respect, because the way they respect parents or adults at home may not be the way I want to be given respect. And so we're going to have that relationship because now we both are aware, number one, what is expected from each other. Number two, how we want to be respected and that we will respect the other person. Number three, how do you build relationship? The third way, and this is sometimes difficult um, for adults, not so much for students. But the third way that you build relationships or build a relationship with a child is by acknowledging them. Acknowledge who they are. Now, I used to have students that first they were hilarious. Let me just start there. My students, I found them so funny. They would say and do some of the funniest, most hilarious things ever. And I often found myself trying not to laugh, but sometimes I just had to break character because I couldn't. They were comical. And I would acknowledge that, like, dude, you are funny. Like, you are hilarious. Sometimes your timing is awful. Like, this is not the time to tell jokes or do something that's gonna, break the mood, be a distraction. But it was funny. I'll give you that. It was funny. I would tell students that I love those shoes, or I love your hair today, or I love the way you're dressed, or I would acknowledge what they brought to the table. Even if they think what they brought to the table was their best, it was good enough for me. The fact that you showed up, that's enough for me. Sometimes, because I had older students, the girls would dress up, and they were wearing heels all day, and I was like, "Woo! Wait a minute, are you a teacher or a student? Now, don't try to come and take my job. You're dressed so nicely." And they would say, "Oh, stop it, Mr. Holmes! Stop, Coach Holmes! Stop, stop, stop!" And just really acknowledge them, to let them know you look nice. You look beautiful. I love your hair. I love your blue hair. I love your color hair. I love your braids. I love whatever it is. I love it. I love whatever you're bringing to the table because it is authentically you, and I acknowledge your presence, your existence. I acknowledge your identity. I acknowledge your sex. I acknowledge your preference. It's none of my business. It's not for me to judge. I don't have to judge it to acknowledge it, right? People just want to be seen. And that's your students. They just want to be seen. All right. Number four. The fourth way I'm recommending that you build relationships with your students through experiences. What do I mean by that? Yeah, you may be older, you may be a different sex, you may be a different gender, you may be from a different part of the country, you may speak a different language, but we're all human and we share some common experiences. Don't be so high on the totem pole as a teacher that you can't come down and share common experiences with students. Get caught up in story time every now and then, especially in the beginning. When I was a student, I wasn't the best student. Well, I didn't love history at that time. I didn't love math. I didn't love science. I didn't love recess. I didn't have a lot of friends. Or I was very popular. I had too many friends, right? I didn't have a balance, right? I wasn't organized. Let them know that you're human. Share experiences. They'll come to school sometimes. And they'll would have had an argument with a sister or a parent. Guess what? I've done that before too. I wear that badge. I'm guilty. I've done that. I acknowledge that experience that you're sharing. It's real. It's not uncommon. It's a human thing to experience that. When you do that, you begin to make a connection just from the shared experiences. I don't think we do enough of that. We don't become real early enough. And I'm guilty of that. I became real my first couple of years teaching towards the end of the first semester, right? That's when I began to like show up as a human. Before that, I was a robot. I was emotionless. I was like driving the machine. Expectation, teach, 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 learn, 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 do the work, no talking. You don't need to know anything about me. They slowly broke me out of that. Why or how? Because I cared so much for those freaking little boogers that I just had to acknowledge them and I had to really share experiences with them. I had to give them respect, but I also had to share expectations. And you can't do those four without building relationships. You just can't. And lastly, the way you want to build a relationship is by valuing their worth. Now, what do I mean by that? That includes who they are and what they know. Some of your students won't come to you with all the bags, with all the information, all the knowledge. I'm not expecting you to have everything, right? You're gonna come in here, and whatever you bring to the table, whatever little information or whatever large amount of information you come to me with, I want to value that. I'm gonna respect it. I'm saying, hey, thank you for sharing. I'm gonna take that and we're gonna run with it. I'm gonna take where you are. I'm gonna take you here. I value who you are. I value what you know, little or small, or little or big. It doesn't matter to me. I'm gonna value them. Thank you guys. I see more people joining. Thank you for hopping in here. We're talking about building relationships. One of the first steps to increasing the achievement in your classroom and increasing the achievement in your building in your district. So I've gone over my 5 aspects of building relationships with students. Number one, you're not building relationships based on if they like you or not. Number one, you're going to build a relationship built on expectation, shared expectation. Number two, you're going to build relationships based on respect, shared respect. Number three, acknowledgement, acknowledging who you are, the way you show up in the space. Number four, we're going to have some shared experiences. Those experiences that make us human will also help connect us and build relationships. And number one, I'm going to value your worth. Whatever it is you know, who you are, I'm going to value it because I can take where you are and I can take you to another place. I can take you to another level. I believe I can. I have enough confidence in myself to be able to do that. So remember, excuse me, guys, we're going to build relationships from adult to adult in the building. We're going to build relationships from adult to adult externally outside of the building with our parents and our guardians. And lastly, we're going to build relationships with our students. And if you do that, if you do those three things with those three groups of people, the last relationship that you're going to build is going to be the one that's going to make the biggest difference. And that's going to be the relationship that is the product of those relationships. And that's going to be learning. Building relationships with adults and students allow for the production of new relationships with learning. High levels of learning are the outcomes from healthy relationships, from adults to adults and from adults to students. Start moving the needle in your school. Start moving the needle in your district by focusing on the relationship. I promise you, it will make a difference because of what's going to happen. The greater relationship you have with students, you're going to minimize distractions and you're going to maximize opportunities because it's going to be all about the learning. That is all I have for you guys tonight. If you missed the beginning, get on over there on YouTube. You can watch it from beginning to end. Thank you guys so much. While you're also on YouTube, go over to Fully Engaged Education on YouTube and subscribe. We are still on journey to 1,000 subscribers. I know you're saying, oh, 1,000 subscribers is nothing. Well, it may be nothing to you, but it is a big deal for me. Very, very big deal. I'm excited about getting those numbers up, and I'm excited about seeing 1,000 people who are committed to this station, committed to watching, committed to learning, committed to building this community. And so get over there, acknowledge that you have enjoyed the time by subscribing, like videos, and also share the videos with others. There are tons of videos with tons of good information that I want you to go and share with other people, other parents, other teachers, other leaders, because I put a lot of effort and time and intent to make sure I'm giving you quality content. So don't stop. Get on over there right now. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. This means the world to me to have you guys be a part of this community. I am just a teacher who loves to talk. And teacher talks is something that happens all the day in classrooms, all the time in schools. And so I'm trying to make it a part of popular conversation so that more teachers can have those talks in spaces outside of class. So thank you guys so much. I am signing off until next Thursday. I want you guys to be safe. I want you guys to be blessed. If you've already started school, have a great, amazing school year. And I can't wait to hear all of the amazing things that are going to happen for you this year. Until then, you guys stay safe, and I'll see you. Bye-bye. Do you believe in wearing fashions that spread positive messages? Well, Fully Engaged Education now offers merchandise that will do just that. And we are spreading the word that a high quality education is deserving of every student, everywhere, every day. Fully Engaged Education has now crafted beautifully designed hoodies, sweatshirts, long and short sleeve tees that come in a variety of colors that will be perfect for any season. So go check out Fully Engaged Education and select those beautiful pieces that will be sure to set off any outfit that you plan to wear. Fully Engaged Education is committed to providing information and access to ensure every student can be successful and every student has an opportunity to learn.